This is Katie from the Algoma Public Library. Thank you for joining us today. We will begin shortly with our presentation. I'm just going to give people a moment to hop on with us. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. This is our presentation today on the newspaper archive for the Algoma Public Library. Today what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be showing you my screen and showing you how to navigate our newspaper archives online. So thank you for joining us today. So I'm going to show you a little presentation online here. There we go. So welcome. Again, my name is Katie. I am a librarian, adult services librarian here at the Algoma Public Library. A little bit of background about our newspaper archives. They were a generous donation through the Johnson Trust in two parts in 2013 and 2015. The first part went from 1873 to 1923 for the 2013, and then again in 2015 it was 1924 up to 1960. And our digital archives are actually stored up at the Algoma School District. We have a lovely partnership with them. And then the digitization was done to help preserve our microfilm newspaper from further deterioration. So we had the picture that's shown on your screen right now is from the family of the Johnson Trust, Maynard and Clarence Donniefeld. So we wanted to thank the family of the Johnsons for their generous donation. The papers that we have here at Algoma, both on microfilm and digitized up to 1960, the Anapia record, which is the very beginning, 1873 to 1897, Algoma Press, 1897 to 1901, Algoma Record, 1897 to 1918, Algoma Herald to 1915 to 1918, and then they all kind of combine into the Algoma Record Herald to 1918 to 1960. They are available on microfilm up into the 2000s, so as the Algoma Record Herald. On the image shown in this picture, I have a couple different ways that they were available at one point. We do not have them in hard copy as the image shows of a newspaper. What's shown here is the Algoma Record Herald from our pamphlet file. I do have some here at the library that you can actually still see some. They were preserved for different reasons in our pamphlet file. But we do have a complete run in our microfilm collection. So that's what this gray thing is here. This is the spool, and then this is all the microfilm here that's kind of unspooled so you can see what it is. And we do have two microfilm readers here in the library that you can utilize to read if you would rather not use it on a computer. And then in these white boxes is what the microfilm is stored. So this one right here is the Anapia record. This one is an Algoma Record Herald, and this was an Algoma Press. So you might be wondering, how can you access the newspaper archives? Well, we are going to take you through, and so this is where you're going to need either a computer an iPad or some sort of electronic device that has a capability to access the internet. I usually access it either on my phone, my laptop, or a desktop, and you're going to want to go to our website, which I have provided here, www.algomapubliclibrary.org. You want to make sure that Algoma Public Library is all one word. You don't need to worry about capitalization of Algoma or Public Library, just all one word, Algoma Public Library. So again, it's www.algomapubliclibrary.org. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch to the website for you right now. I'm going to go right here. It's going to come up in a moment here. Bear with me. Yep, here we go. So this is our home page as it's finishing loading. So we have lots of information on here. So our home page, just a couple little things I want to point out here. We have our reopening plan on here as well. Information on our summer reading program for Beanstack if you're interested in it. But we also have our info soup for online catalog programs. And then the fourth one over is our newspaper archives and genealogy tab. So it's going to be the fourth one over. The other tabs deal with the newsletter. So if you're looking for past events at the library or even the current newsletter, you can click on that tab. Even to sign up for being on our newsletter list. Policies for the library would be the tab about our community, library board, friends of the library. So let's head on over to the newspaper archives and genealogy tab. I'm going to click on that one. So depending on your internet speed, it might be very quick or it might take a few moments. So as we wait for our page to load, you will see that there's a lot more information on this page as well. Newsletter list, policies. Let's give it a moment here. Oh, it didn't load up all the way, so I'm just going to refresh my page. Sometimes it doesn't load up all the way, and that happens. There we go. All right. So on this page here, it's got a lot of information about what we have at the library here, in-house. We have records that you can request, how you can contact us to get records. We have house histories. Those are only in-house. Different links that you can click on to go to other websites. Obituaries, marriage index, birth indexes. As I said earlier, we do have 2 microfilm machines that you can come in and utilize. We have a genealogy computer with a lot of historical information, and we do try to periodically add more information into it. I recently added more information onto it. We do have a color printer copier as well. So we're going to go under the newspaper archives, and we're going to click on this gray button here where it says Access Newspaper Archives. So it's right above this picture of Maynard and Clarice right here. So this gray button right here. Go ahead and click on it. Again, it might take a few seconds, even to a minute, depending on how fast your internet connection is to load. And again, you can even check out our newspaper archives at home. You can check it out here at the library. We do have public computers that are available to use. Currently, right now, we are limited space for computers with a reopening plan. But right now, it's a great time to check it out at home. So, there are a couple different ways of browsing our newspaper archives. The first way is looking at it by collection. And the collection is basically by paper title. So that would be InOut Record, Algoma Herald, Algoma Press, Algoma Record, Algoma Record Herald. And on this page, what it's going to show you is going to show you the name of the paper, how many items are in each collection, the years covered. It's going to show you a picture of the top page of each individual paper. Most of these were weekly publications. So as you can see, they have how many items are in each one. A year should be associated with each one. So there's that. The next one over we're going to take a look at is browse title. And browse title, there's a lot of different ways that we can search in here. You can still search by sub-collection. Again, you got the name of each paper up here up on top. There's 5 of them. You got the picture of each one. You can also look by the year of each paper. So it's going to list the year. So 1915 is showing that there's 105 records, papers for each one in that year. So if we click on that one, it's going to take us to another page. And it's going to tell me that there's 105 records. And it's going to be showing different ones all within 1915. And it's different papers. So I got the Algoma Record, Algoma Herald, Algoma Record, all in 1915. So there's pretty much 2 papers in here. And it tells you up here. So I'm going to X this out right here. So I go back to the beginning. So this little caret here is going to close out the year. I can also browse by month published. I can search by day published. I can search by publisher's name. That's a big way of searching. So these are all the different publishers that were active on these different papers that we have. Place of publication is another way you can search. Questionable data published, there's a few of them in there. Or you can search by topic or even city. You might be wondering what this little I is here. That's just another way of finding out more information about individual records. So when you click on it, I have a little record about an abstract here. So this is on the first one. So I'm going to go back. So I'm looking at this first tile here on the InOut record. If I click on it, it's going to take me into a little snapshot on it. So this is telling me that this publication was produced weekly. The alternative title is the Algoma Record Herald, and the authors were George Wing and Charles Borgman, and the editors were George Wing, and Charles Borgman. And who owns it? The Algoma Public Library. And it gives the publisher name, what type of resource, it's text, genre, newspaper. It gives publisher name, place of publication, so it's in InOut, Wisconsin, date published, date captured. So that's just the date that it was scanned and sent to ResCarta. That's the website that our microfilm has been digitized onto for access for patrons to utilize to be able to view it. The language it is in, so it's in English, that's what the ENG is in, representing. The subject topic, so it's saying that it's Algoma, Wisconsin, newspaper, and it's local. Anapee, Wisconsin, newspaper, local. Kewaunee County, Wisconsin, newspaper, and it's local. Subject geographic county, USA, state, Wisconsin, county, Kewaunee County. So it's also saying as a note that it's digitized from microfilm. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of information you can get from on here. So the third way you can search up here from this tab is the simple search. So if I click on simple search, this is where sometimes you might have to be creative how you're searching. So I'm going to actually show you by using my last name. So my last name is Hosh. Okay. So I'm just going to do a general search, and I'm going to search through all the collections, but you can choose to search through the different collections, the different newspapers. I'm going to do search. Let's see how many hits we get. And we have 849. Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, so we're just going to look at one. We're going to go into this one, the second one here. Let's take a look at what it says. There's a lot of information that we can find in a newspaper. Whether we use microfilm, we use an actual hard copy, or if we use digital newspaper. So what we're going to see in here is what we have. So you might notice some information here looking here. So we've already covered these tabs up here. Search results was the last page we were just on. Image viewer is this page here. We'll get to help in a moment. So let's talk about what we're looking at right here. Right here, where I'm circling with the pointer. So right here, I'm going to kind of go over it with my mouse, the cursor. It's telling me the name of the paper, the volume of the paper, volume 58, issue 15, edition 1, and it was published 1930, September 19th. And it was telling me that I searched for Hosh in content, and this was the first hit of 1. So that's what this top part is. On my left side here is the actual paper. This was the whole paper for September 19th, 1930. Okay, so that's what's right here. So you can have a screenshot of what's all right here. Now, this hand is a pan zoom tool. So I can kind of click with my left index, with my right index finger, and go up and down, drag it up and down. Or I can use on the side of the screen, scroll up and down there. So right now I am just holding my index finger down on my right hand and just dragging it up and down. Okay. Now, if you notice this yellow here, that's telling me that Hosh has been highlighted. I want to know what it says, but I can't really read what this says. As you can see in my picture off to the right side here, I have glasses on. So I'm going to zoom in. So if you see right here, I got 2 green buttons. This is my zoom. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. As you zoom in, the screen will adjust for you to make it clearer. So let's zoom it in just a little bit more. Then you can always drag it up and down to read what it says. Now, you may notice when you look at the newspapers online that some of them might have weird, hard to read things, like a watermark, or there's a weird line, like there's a weird line right here and a weird line right here. That is part of on a microfilm. That was there when it was microfilmed from the original paper. Unfortunately, we cannot clear that up for you. That's already on the microfilm. So that's the zoom. We've covered the pan, zoom tool right here, zoom out, zoom in. So I can zoom out right here. Okay, so now I can read this. If you notice, Hosh is in yellow, but the word Hosh itself, the word I typed in, is blue. It's not black like the rest of the font is. It's blue. So the rest of the document, anytime that that word is showing up in here, it's been keyworded. It is now blue and highlighted yellow. This scissors is a text clipping tool. Now say I want to print it. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can find when this article ends. So it goes down to here. Go back a little bit. So what I would do is I would click on the scissors, and I'm going to go where the article stops, and I'm going to use my right index finger and hold down, drag across the column, drag all the way down to the bottom, and then when I get down to the bottom, I'm going to release. And when I release, I have another text box that comes up that kind of blows up everything. You will notice in this box that some things are underlined. Like if you're familiar with using text or writing programs on your computer, that it will underline words that it thinks is misspelled. For example, Word thinks my last name is misspelled all the time, and honestly, it's not. Trust me, Word, I know. I've been spelling my last name for a long time, as long as I can remember. So what you would need to do is, if you're able to move it off to the side, is just kind of look at it. And if you're familiar with the names of the area, like I know this name is spelled correctly. This is a municipality in Door County. And my family is actually from this area. And so Forestville is correct. That's in Door County. So when it comes together like this, you can actually copy this into another thing to print out. But it's another way to read it. So this is just basically a way of reading it. It makes it clearer. Some things will be spelled funny in here, and it's just the way how it copies from the newspaper and puts it in here. Okay. So this section right here would go to the next hit that we had selected if it was in this paper. Sometimes your selected word might be in the same paper multiple times, but it looks like the word I chose is only in this column multiple times. So on the other side of zoom in and out are two sets of arrows. We have fit to width, so if I push that one, it zooms out. If I push the next one, it's fit to height. Now I can see the full paper, almost the full size of the screen. The next arrow, the next one over, is a green arrow. Kind of goes in a circle. This is how we would rotate something. And it's going to rotate it every 90 degrees. The next section over looks like a rewind, a fast rewind, and a slow rewind. And then there's a drop box with numbers 1 through 8. Those numbers right now are how many pages are in that newspaper. The next one is next object. That would go to the next paper. So we'll give it a moment to switch to the next one. So now we're in another paper. So we're now going to be in volume 60, issue 9, edition 1. Date published is 1932, August 5th. So the first one here is an obituary, a funeral announcement for Miss Helen Hosh. Give it a moment to catch up. Okay, there we go. You have a magnifying glass, which is a way of searching an object where you can type in a search word that you're looking for. So say you're looking for a specific thing. If you do common names, it's going to highlight common names. In a word of caution, common names for women, especially in older papers, may not show up. Especially in older papers, 1800s, early 1900s, they were always referred to as Mr., Mrs., husband's name. So, for example, we have Mr. and Mrs. Ed Herwig. Mrs. Earwig here is not mentioned by her first name. So, but we know Miss Helen's name here because she is not married. So finding the husband's name is very easy. If you're looking for a woman's name, chances are you'll have to look for her obituary or a spouse's obituary and work your way backwards. Then we have an eye icon, which is an informational icon. We saw it on the search results page. This shows us all the information on how often it was produced, the editor, owner, publisher's name, type of resource, genre, where it was published, date published, what language it's in, subject, subject's geographic location. You can print from it. You can make it a full screen. Res Carta, just so you know, sometimes has a hard time being shown in Internet Explorer. It does work better in either Google Chrome or Firefox. Here at the library, we typically recommend people to use Google Chrome, just because we do know from past experience that Internet Explorer does not work as well. So, yeah. So that's Image Viewer right here. So let's take a look at help. Policies for the library. So the help button takes us to a help feed right now. And in here, it's going to kind of tell us a little bit about what Res Carta Web is. It's going to tell us what browse titles, simple search, search results are. It gives us an index of what terms are within here. So if we kind of click on a couple like what an image viewer is, kind of tells you a little bit how to do certain things. Search. You could search through terms again here in the glossary. So this is a definition of each of the terms within Res Carta. So that is the help feature right there. you'll come to find when you are using our online newspaper that you will find some funny things in the newspaper. So I'm going to go into one. You're going to find that it's almost like social media of today, but back then. You will find people will comment just about anything. I have found people commenting about their cattle ending up in town, their livestock being sold. You will find obituaries in here. You will find people advertising that they have gone to visit friends or family somewhere. There's just so much information you can find in here. I found some interesting advertisements in here for different things. And you see so much different things. The headlines in here are sometimes interesting. They'll make you scratch your head and wonder what was going on at that time. Let's see. I am trying to find the social page for 1930 for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Sometimes the social page was towards the end of the paper. Sometimes it was in the middle. Oh, right here. Sometimes they will even include stories for you. They'll have like a chapter a week about something going on. They've even had wartime news depending on what was going on, especially in the 1940s. We can take a look at this one. So this one is talking about that there was a farewell party given for the Mrs. Celia and Evelyn Shostak at the Frank Barta Hall Friday evening, and a large crowd was present. Then we have Fred Nell, Silver Creek, was a business caller at Charles Blahnik home Tuesday morning. You will also see people talking about going for a drive. And you have something like Wisconsin ranks first in the number of cheese factories. There's a lot of interesting things you will find in here. There's a wealth of information that you can find in newspapers, whether it's a physical newspaper of today or an old one on microfilm or even digitized. You know, even the ads that they had are fun to look at. Sometimes finding the ones that's advertising groceries of how much they were is fun to look at. There's something on a nervous woman nearly drives a husband away. Usually I can find some really good ones when I'm looking for obituary requests for people. There's just so much that I found that, you know, either I giggle or I scratch my head and I'm like, okay. But there's a lot that you can see and you can learn from. So if you ever want to get some more help, feel free to contact us. We are more than willing to help you at the library. So you can email us at alg@algomapubliclibrary.org or give us a call at 920-487-2295, or you can stop in and see one of our friendly librarians. Once again, my name is Katie, and I'm the Adult Services Librarian. And thank you so much for stopping and listening in with us today. If you're interested Thursday is a tutorial on how to use Libby, the app for reading and listening to ebooks and audiobooks. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.